In the summer of 2011, Steve Carell was just coming off playing Michael Scott for 7 seasons on The Office, and already had a strong string of films that included Date Night, Little Miss Sunshine, and The 40-Year-Old Virgin. For his first post-Office film, Carell joined an impressive ensemble for Crazy, Stupid, Love, a film that would end up being one of Carell's highest-grossing live-action films. On March 1, audiences can revisit Crazy, Stupid, Love when the film hits Netflix. Crazy, Stupid, Love tells a series of stories that initially seem unrelated, yet the film ties all of them together in a surprising and satisfying way. Sure, commercial success isn't necessarily the mark of a well-written female character. Steve Carell plays Cal Weaver, whose wife Emily Julianne Moore admits she had an affair with her coworker, David Lindhagen Kevin Bacon. Cal moves out and starts going to bars where he loudly laments the problems with his marriage. However, recently both current and former staff at Ubisoft have alleged that the company's marketing department shot down plans for women to have prominent roles in their games, because women don't sell. While the recent success of The Last of Us Part 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn is enough to disprove this claim, here's 6 ladies, all wildly different in what they bring to the game, who have the spotlight and didn't exactly hurt the sales. Yuna, Final Fantasy X and X2 kicking off the list as the one-time summoner and one-time sphere hunter, Yuna. While Tidus is officially the star of Final Fantasy X, it's her story as much as his, so it's little wonder that she took her rightful place as the protagonist of the first-ever direct sequel in the Final Fantasy series, with the release of Final Fantasy X-2. Further still, all 3 central characters in Final Fantasy X-2 are women, and the game isn't shy to show this off. From opening up on a live pop concert to combat literally revolving around swapping outfits mid-fight, this is a game which isn't afraid to have features more associated with femininity. This is why Yuna is such a great female character. While physically strong, less emotional, and less feminine female characters can be brilliant in their own ways, it's nice to see Yuna develop from passive to active, all while embracing her femininity. Her role as Tidus's love interest could have made her fall flat. The story still would have functioned if she existed solely to serve him, but it's elevated by her having her own past, her own motivations. Jacob Palmer, Ryan Gosling, a womanizer who is able to pick up a new woman every night, decides to take Cal under his wing and try to teach him his ways. But soon after, Jacob finds a woman he can't easily win over in Hannah Emma Stone. She's been passive her whole life, becoming a summoner because it is what is expected of her. While Jacob can teach Steve Carell's Cal everything he knows, none of his tried-and-true tactics seem to work for Hannah. But then she chooses life, she chooses to confront her fears, and she chooses Tidus as much as he chooses her. Final Fantasy X-2 sales being led by women didn't stop Final Fantasy X-2 from becoming the best-selling game in the first half of 2003 in Japan, with lifetime sales of 5.4 million on PlayStation 2 alone as of 2013. In another story, Cal's son Robbie Jonah Bobo is in love with his neighbor Jessica Annalie Tipton, yet Robbie doesn't know that Jessica is harboring a crush on Cal. In addition to stars like Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, and others, Crazy, Stupid, Love also features Marissa Tomei, Fargo's John Carroll Lynch, Josh Groban, and Joey King. Crazy, Stupid, Love was directed by Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, who had previously directed Jim Carrey's 2009 film, Love You Philip Morris, and have since directed the Margot Robbie and Will Smith starring 2015 film Focus, and Tina Fey's 2016 film Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Ports of the game, alongside Final Fantasy X, have found its way onto more console generations. While the sales were less than FFX by about 3 million, this dip is expected for direct FF sequels, prequels, but is actually less dramatic than others in the series, such as Crisis Core and FFXIII-2. Ellie, The Last of Us series. On the complete opposite side of the spectrum, we have Ellie, who shows that femininity isn't the only route to growth or to a well-written female character. Joel may be the player character in The Last of Us, but the story is about them both. Aside from The Walking Dead's Clementine, young girls and zombie apocalypse stories don't tend to go hand in hand. However, through Ellie, we not only see the effect this has on a kid, but also how it molds her into the woman we see in Part 2. This duo has also written Disney's upcoming Jungle Cruise film, and are currently attached to write, direct, and produce a new Harley Quinn and Joker film. Crazy, Stupid, Love is also the first film produced by Steve Carell's Carell Productions, who would go on to produce the incredible Burt Wonderstone and Rashida Jones-Angie Tribeca TBS series. Crazy, Stupid, Love was also written by Dan Fogelman, who has previously written for Disney and Pixar films like Cars, Bolt, and Tangled. In the sequel, we see how well-written female characters don't have to be perfect, in fact it is often better to see them flawed. As she pursues revenge, any warmth lessens, only becoming hellbent on vengeance. And without delving into spoilers, this is something which the game does not celebrate. Ellie shows us that female characters can go on the same aggressive stories as men and confront the fact they may have been wrong. The Last of Us sales. Both parts of The Last of Us sold monstrously well. Fogelman is probably best known for having created the hit NBC series, This Is Us, which follows a very similar interconnected narrative structure to Crazy, Stupid, Love in its pilot episode. According to a senior industry analyst, the first title sold 20 million copies across both PlayStation 3 and 4, as of 2019. And while the sequel has only just hit shelves, it's catching up fast, selling 4 million in its opening weekend and becoming the fastest-selling PlayStation 4 exclusive. Commander Shepard, Mass Effect series. While it may seem like cheating to bring up a character who can also be male, Shepard deserves a mention for not only how iconic she is in gaming history, but also how prevalent she was in the marketing for Mass Effect 3, something which allegedly informed Ubisoft's apprehensiveness about female characters in their games. Fogelman is also the writer for the upcoming Indiana Jones 5. Crazy, Stupid, Love was well received, both critically and commercially. Despite opening in 5th place on its opening weekend, Crazy, Stupid, Love went on to make $84 million domestically, and over $145 million worldwide. Some employees claimed that women such as Evie Frye, in Assassin's Creed Syndicate had their roles reduced in the narrative, out of fears of the game wouldn't sell. But first, rewind back to 2007, with the first Mass Effect. The film currently holds a 79% rating on Rotten Tomatoes Tomatometer and a 78% audience score. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly called the film the 8th best film of 2011, while Peter Hartlaub of the San Francisco Chronicle said it was the 10th best film of the year. Ryan Gosling even received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor, Motion Picture Musical or Comedy. Since Crazy, Stupid, Love, Steve Carell has remained one of the most sought-after comedic actors in film. But not long after Crazy, Stupid, Love, Carell would expand his talents into more dramatic work. In 2015, Carell would receive his only Academy Award nomination so far for his role in Foxcatcher. Jane Shepard, better known as FemShep, is just a female version of John Shepard. Carell has since continued with more dramatic turns in films like 2015's The Big Short, 2017's Last Flag Flying, and 2018's Beautiful Boy. But Steve Carell has continued to also thrive in comedy, with some of his biggest films being the animated Despicable Me series, with both Despicable Me 3 and Minions both making over $1 billion worldwide. Most recently, Steve Carell starred in Jon Stewart's recent directorial effort with last year's Irresistible, and recently Carell appeared in the Oscar-nominated film Vice from his Anchorman director Adam McKay, and starred in Robert Zemeckis' Welcome to Marwen. In the transition from television star to film star, Crazy, Stupid, Love was a great way for Steve Carell to prove that he could still be funny, but that he had a dramatic side to him that was waiting to come out. In personality, strength, and story arc, they are the same, which means FemShep gets to have a role that is typically reserved for gruff military men. Crazy, Stupid, Love is a lovely ensemble comedy that gives Carell one of his best performances. The opening scene sets her up as an Alliance veteran, having already experienced the horrors of war. Crazy, Stupid, Love is absolutely worth checking out when it makes its Netflix debut on March 1. While not completely trusted, her accomplishments at least earn her respect. As a female player, taking control of the Normandy, having the esteem of your crew, and saving the galaxy as this strong woman is refreshing to say the least. Mass Effect sales. I don't think I have to tell you that the original Mass Effect trilogy performed fairly well. The series wasn't harmed at all by enabling us to play as FemShep, with the entire trilogy hitting 14 million sales as of 2014, according to a financial advice company. Further still, the third game's sales certainly didn't suffer for putting the spotlight on FemShep, as it sold twice as well as its predecessor in their respective opening months.
Max Caulfield. Life is Strange. Max Caulfield is a socially awkward, nerdy, isolated 18-year-old. While she's the polar opposite of FemShep, what they do share is that they both fill a role which is usually reserved for men. While the writing of Life is Strange can occasionally leave a lot to be desired, is there a mod to remove every use of hella? Max shines as an introverted and romantically inexperienced young woman that often isn't explored in media. Being a Peter Parker-esque underdog isn't restricted to gender. We can all feel like we don't belong, struggle to make friends, and feel like our anxiety is holding us back. Life is Strange shows us that this happens to women too. Max's journey sees her confront everything from college mean girls and a predatory teacher to the supernatural occurrence that granted her time travel powers. Her insecurity lends itself well to the ability to time travel, as the player is also left second-guessing themselves as she does. But aside from that, it shows female players that other women are just as unsure as them. Life is Strange sales as of 2017. This unassuming episodic game about an anxious queer girl had sold 3 million copies, and featured in the 100 best selling games of Steam in 2016. Even from the offset, the first episode was the 5th best-selling game on PlayStation 3 and 4. What started as a simple game about a girl trying to save her town has even now sprung a prequel and sequel. Bayonetta series. There's sometimes a misconception that a female character can't use her sexuality and still be well written. True enough, reducing her to just her looks is a quick way to sound alarm bells, but as long as there's enough of a personality there, the character being in touch with their sexuality doesn't have to be a bad thing. There are many that fit this category, but a notable addition to these ranks is Bayonetta. This Umbra witch looks great, and absolutely knows it. Some characters of this caliber can fall into the recently documented, born sexy yesterday, trope, which describes a character who is naive, sometimes childish, and completely unaware of their own sex appeal. Bayonetta completely avoids this, and this is perhaps part of what stops her from being just a sex object. She absolutely knows how gorgeous she looks, and is 100% the sort of person to choose to fight in an outfit looking like that. Her design manages to be sexy and powerful, all at once. Bayonetta sales. The first Bayonetta was a success, selling 138,000 units in its first week in Japan alone. There's no public sales figures beyond 2010, but as of that date, it was reported to have reached 1.35 million units. It found further success when it was ported to PC in 2017, with Sega saying they were really happy with the performance. While Bayonetta 2 couldn't capture the success, a reason cited for this is the fact that it was an exclusive for the ill-fated Wii U. Despite this, it found moderate success on the Switch, and a third one is on the way. Cassandra, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I couldn't pass up an opportunity to prove the alleged statement from Ubisoft wrong, using their own game. Cassandra is one of 2 playable characters in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the other being her brother Alexios. However, according to employees who spoke out as part of the investigation into Ubisoft, Cassandra was originally intended to be the only protagonist. While there is nothing wrong about a game giving players the choice, this shows that the outdated belief that women don't sell was restricting the freedom of the writing team to tell a story solely about a woman, as they now had to account for a male lead too. Despite this, Cassandra turned heads in 2018 for taking a role traditionally expected of men in media, a Spartan mercenary who can take out dozens of enemies at a time, no problem. Who knows what could have happened with her if the writers were allowed to hone in on her character, rather than write a story that worked for both her and Alexios. A whole story may have gone untold because of this interference. Assassin's Creed Odyssey sales. Assassin's Creed Odyssey was a smash hit, so if the testimonies of Ubisoft employees are true, the marketing department needn't be so apprehensive about female leads. Odyssey smashed series records and outpaced the sales of the previous title, Origins, by 50%. While not confirmed, it can be interpreted that this success has helped Ubisoft open up to female protagonists. The next Assassin's Creed title, Valhalla, has its own female protagonist who appeared in the latest gameplay reveal. What does this all even mean? There's plenty of other female characters out there, hailing from moderately successful, or even unsuccessful, games who are still superbly written. There's also women who might not be the star of the show, but are nevertheless brilliant.
The purpose of this list was to highlight that putting a female character in the lead role doesn't spell failure. It was also to point out that well-written characters can come in many different forms, from the no-nonsense Jane Shepard to the meek Max Caulfield. These characters come in all shapes and sizes and offer unique voices to the stories they're in, so it is a real loss if marketing departments fear rocking the boat. To take these women out of their games would take away something special, and a gaming industry that isn't scared about bringing new voices into its stories is one which will be more free and more creative. Are there any heroines or even villainesses who wanted to make the list? Let us know in the comments.